righty. Welcome everybody to another Trosky Tuesday. We're literally here in Melissa, Texas, working a camp at our elite infield camp. Nate and myself, we just finished a couple hours ago. So we're on Central Standard Time, and we're really excited to be with you tonight because we have a great topic, something that we are very passionate about and believe it is a separator, and that is an elite catch play routine that covers all elements of throwing. But we'll get more into that in a second. Let's talk a little bit about our sponsors, a couple announcements, and then we'll move to the meat and potatoes. So we want to, of course, recognize Soldier Sports at soldiersports.us. Steve Springer with Quality at Bats and Jager Sports. So a couple quick announcements. We have an infield camp coming up. We're obviously in one right now, but we've got another one in Texas and Houston filling up pretty quick. Looking forward to seeing everybody down there. I believe it's the second and third. It's this weekend coming up. So I'm losing track of my days over Christmas break here, but really excited to get down to Houston. And of course, we want to finish strong in Melissa. And then we got a one-day softball camp coming up. That's a private event here in Texas. So looking forward to working with the softball players as well. Other couple announcements. We have released some new material on our Infield membership, the Gold Glove membership, which of course, what we're going to talk about tonight, you can see the screen share behind you. You know, we got a couple camps in KC coming up, a softball and a baseball combination. Give that a check out. We'd like to see more softball players because infield play is very consistent between baseball and softball. So I'm really excited about that opportunity. So Nate, here in Melissa, I want to welcome you to the show, and let's dive into the content heavy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's great to be here. It's a little chilly here in Texas. Trying to keep my head warm. We just got off the field, like Trent said. So we are ready to go because we are in baseball mode. So welcome to the show, and thank you for being here tonight.
Outstanding. So Nate, explain a little bit to the audience this concept of catch play, throw routine. I mean, why is it so important?
Well, I think most of us know that defense, the defensive side of the game really is the game. And when you think of the teams that win the World Series and teams that win national championships, it's really defined by their defense. And we know, offense is important, but defense is our best offense. And when we think of the championship teams, World Series teams, they have pitching, they have defense, and that's a defining, character of these programs and these teams, these organizations. So just right from the top, if you want to be a winner, you have to defend. And we know that defenders struggle more with the throw piece than actually the fielding piece. Oftentimes in the exchange or just the actual piece of throwing the ball with consistency across the diamond. And as we go up the ladder in this game, the game really doesn't change. Once you get to a point where you're in high school, you're a freshman in high school, the diamond, the field, the game is pretty much the same except the speed. And when the speed accelerates, we start to expose areas of deficiencies. And, I think it always goes back to intent. What is the intent of the player? And if we're kind of short-sighted and we see really just where we're at right now, what will happen is we get to where we want to go. It could be on the varsity team. It could be a college, in a college program. It could be a professional, in the professional ranks, is you will be exposed. And if you don't establish the foundation for being a consistent defender, every college program in the country, what you'll see in their dugouts or on the fence or somewhere in basically in their facility, you're going to see something says the road to Omaha. And that's the mission, Trent, of every college program. It's not just to, have some fun and win some games. This isn't travel ball. Let's go down to Arizona and play a tournament. This is our jobs are on the line and we are playing to win a national championship. And every program that I've ever been around, hundreds of colleges, doing showcases or being a part of prospect camps or prospect events, you see it. It's 2,500 miles to Omaha. Fullerton has it on theirs. LMU, USC, Santa Clara University. I do a lot of, baseball on the West Coast, but it's on every wall and it's every team's mission. And if we're going to win a championship or have an opportunity in any program, it's based on our defense.
Yes, there's no doubt. So even since I've been a player at the collegiate level, we had some element of a throw-in program. And I was blessed to play in a program that really did focus on development. And that's what initially started my journey in creating, a throwing routine, one that was practical, one that was realistic, easy to do. It was a routine. It was something that my players did every day. And I over time coined the phrase the most important 20 minutes of practice because I literally felt that way. I felt like if we could throw and catch at an elite level, it would transfer to the game. And then as the years have gone by, you know, I'm in my 29th year now as a coach. Um, it's evolved, right? It's evolved over time, and there's different reasons why it's evolved. But part of it is I met people. I met Scott Emerson, who became one of my dear friends. He's the major league pitching coach for the Oakland A's, and he watched back when I was in Richmond County, North Carolina. He watched us execute a throwing routine, and he also contributed to my book, Swimming Baseball, and he had drills in there. And I would say, like, holy cow, these pitching drills need to be done by my entire team. We can modify them for the arm stroke of the position, but that they're outstanding. So I added some, and I've taken a couple away. Okay, then I meet guys like you, Nate, and we formed a relationship and a partnership. And you have some drills that I really, really like, and we've added those in. So tonight, as we go through this PowerPoint, this is a product that's in our membership. Okay, it's a standalone product. You can go troskyranch.com and you can purchase it, and it's in detail. And what you're going to find if you decide that you like it and it's something that's beneficial is it's you're literally going to get a full length video of Nate and I breaking down the entire thing. I think it's close to 2 hours, but then it's also broken down into small little digestible pieces to go back and reference, so you don't have to sit there and scan through this long video. And then you get a PDF file of all the throwing drills, and there's 20 drills, but in essence there's a pre-throwing routine, okay, which deals with the V slot. Now, this throwing routine is created specifically for infielders, so I want to be very specific to the audience to understand that you can modify the routine based on arm stroke, based on position. So the drills to me can be done by every single position. And in my program, they are. So I'm not teaching anything, and Nate's not teaching anything that we don't actually do. This is not like to try to impress people. I feel like it's functional, it's real, it works, it's a separator, and we're just throwing ideas out there. You might go, well, I like 10 of those drills and I don't like 10 others. Well, that's the beauty of being a coach, or if you're a player or parent. Okay, and that's really a legitimate point, because even if you like all 20, Nate, you might modify this routine where you have an A day, a B day. You might modify it where on a game day you're not doing as many, and you have like key ones that you do on game day versus practice. You might have it different in season versus out of season. So it is presented as an entire routine. So with that said, Nate, I want to address V slot. I want you to address it. I want you to talk to the audience, explain what we mean when we see V slot, and you know, when did you first start to notice it? Why is it so important? Just touch on a few keys.
Sure. So years ago when I was a player, and being in different programs, I attended 3 different colleges. Junior college, I went to Nicholls State in Louisiana, and then I went to Hawaii Pacific University. And in each program, and then all the programs along the way, along the journey of just being a part of, or learning, or working camps, or being a part of the experiences of these other coaches, I realized that no one was really teaching really the arm stroke. I never saw it, and I've been around for a long time and really been around a lot of, you know, advanced or college level guys, pro guys, and there wasn't a lot of information. And I knew for me as a player, it was like every day going to the park, I didn't know if my arm would repeat because I didn't really know what my stroke was. And if you don't really know what your stroke is, it's hard to repeat it because you don't know what you're repeating. So you're just hoping that it feels right each day. And there's certain days you're like, man, my arm is kind of off, you know, and you're like, how do I get it back to where it needs to be? It's kind of like your swing stroke. If you don't really know what your stroke is, how are you going to repeat it? If you don't know really what your launch angle is, are you a swing down guy, a swing up guy, you know, a flat through the zone? If you don't really know what your path is, how can I repeat something that I don't have really check marks? So really the check marks weren't there and the repeatability wasn't there. And you see it all over the diamond where players struggle with the repeatability of being accurate. So about 15 years ago, I just started looking at pictures and I started seeing a common theme. And this theme is the arm, it looks like everybody's going to throw a punch. You know, you see Jeter making a jump throw, then you see Brandon Crawford or whoever you're watching, you know, through the years, it's, you know, different eras of players, Omar Vizquel, Ozzie, you see these different eras of fielders in there, whatever, if it's a relay, if it's a double play, if it's a slow roller, if it's a ball hit right at them, if it's a one shuffle and throw, if it's a two shuffle throw pattern, if it, you know, it's like whatever it was, it's like it keeps going back to the slot. I'm like, why are these guys in this position? And I didn't hear anybody talk about it, except at times over the years, I'd hear guys talking from the catching side would talk about this boat position, but guys would say, you know, infielders throw different than catchers. Well, being a scout for 20 years and watching at the area code games, the top prospects in the world, and watching them for 20 years, you start seeing these patterns, right? So then I start seeing patterns, but nobody's talking about, but I'm looking for these patterns. And I'm looking and I keep seeing this pattern. Then I see the pictures and I see patterns and I see pictures. And this really was before video was really big. It was more pictures. And we had, you know, VCRs and, you know, so we slow mo, but those are blurry, you know, so it wasn't very easy to track. So I started creating drills and I created one called the ball and glove drill. And immediately I started introducing it to college coaches and professional coaches. And we were fixing guys literally in like 1 to 5 minutes. Guys were working, I'm talking professional players like in the minor leagues that were trying to get out of A-ball, but they had some funk either in their catching, you know, their arm stroke as a catcher or an infielder that couldn't repeat. Typically, you know, the right side of the left side of the diamond because shortstops and third basemen have much, you know, more length in their throws. So we started working this drill and it was like magic. And basically it was a position, it was timing to keep your arm in the V slot until right when your left foot hits the ground. If you can hold the ball in your glove in this V position, like you're going to throw a punch, right when your left foot hits, your hand literally has to get to release point. From here, it has to get to release point within a millisecond because right as my left foot hits, the ball has to be out of my hand. So if I keep it in my glove like this, front elbow down, back elbow up, parallel to the ground, if I keep it in until my left foot hits the ground and my shuffle, my arm will just go up and whip, whack, and it happens in milliseconds. And as a scout, I started learning that the quick arm is what we're looking for at every position. We want quick arms. Quick arms mean projection. Quick arms mean health. Quick arms mean velocity. So the quick arm I kept hearing early, and I'm saying, how does this V equate to the quick arm? Well, as I created this timing drill, ball and glove drill, and we do it every day, and it's a piece of the throwing routine in different variations because you've created some variations too. So there's variations of it, but what it does is it allows your arm to catch up with your feet. So now the arm cannot take any extra route. It has to take the most efficient route, which allows you to repeat with arm quickness and arm speed. And what happens is when your elbow is up, once I separate, when my hand goes up to throw, my elbow goes even higher. And that creates the perfect 12-6 spin, which creates carry, right? It gives me the velocity and carry and spin. So what happens is it cleans up everything. It takes out any length, any funk, and throwers have, a lot of throwers either have funk or they have extra length in their arm stroke. And then they have some type of awkward spin, sink, cut, right? They have something going on. And it's hard to find elite throwers where the ball has perfect 12-6 spin, it has carry, has flight, and the thrower's arm doesn't hurt. So we started to see that the arm problems, and I'm talking within minutes, I mean, hundreds of examples. This is like a 20-year experience. It isn't like it just happened overnight and we just saw a couple videos. This is like a 20-year process that I worked on doing these drills with guys, and we'd see guys with hurt arms, and I'd say, hey, just go on this ball and glove drill. And we have some versions where we tap and go. It's the same concept. And what happens is the arm pain, excuse me, goes away in milliseconds because you start using the real throwing muscles versus opening up, pointing your hand back, getting all this extra motion. And it was like magic. Literally, it was like magic. So from that, about 15 years ago, I just started creating drills that actually teach it without really having to think about it. We call them self-teaching drills. So the drills all through this video, you're going to see all different variations. They're drills that you don't even really have to even like tell them. They just do the drill. And the drill starts to clean it up. And what happens now, it allows you to become an elite thrower. An elite thrower, what we're going to define as, is someone who can repeat. It's consistency. And if I'm going to be a major league thrower and I want to get out of A-ball and I want to get to the big leagues, right? Or I want to be a freshman that's going into my sophomore year in college and I want to be on the diamond starting, that means I have to repeat. Every throw, when the ball's hit to me, you're out. Very seldom you have a variation. It sinks a little bit, gets away from you. So we're looking for that repeatability. And if it's 162 games, 180 days, that's really difficult to do. When you watch major league throwers, they're in that V, and that's why they repeat. And that's why their arms, by the way, don't break down, because they're throwing with the right muscles. And then also the footwork behind it all, Trent. And you're going to go through all these drills with, I don't know how many we're going to get in tonight, but through the video of the program is footwork really is the foundation underneath the V slot that really gets it going.
You know, the big part to me is buy-in and truly understanding that there is a difference in the way that infielders throw typically. Now, everybody has their own slight variations, right? I mean, just like hitting, there's no cookie cutter here. We're not trying to cookie cutter. Okay, some guys will carry the V a little higher, some will scapula a little more, some will, carry it lower, and some a little tighter to their body, some, a little. So there's these variances. But when I first came out of college, everything was like equal and opposite, and you had this long arm action on the backside, and then you got to this snake position. Like literally 30 years ago, we were getting in this impinged, like extreme position behind, they called it the cobra, because like you point the ball away like a snake. And and I used to feel like my shoulder hurt, and what I found was exactly what you said, and that is you instinctively find the most efficient route for your arm stroke. Some guys don't. But fortunately, when I look back on video, and I don't have a ton of it of when I was playing, when I had to make quick throws, my arm literally went into the V slot.
But the problem, Trent, is what happens when you actually have time, right? So now you don't have the clock you're going. It's where your arm actually finds the efficiency because it has to, right? Turning that double play, boom, right? So there's no time play. But what happens when the guy's an average runner and you go two-step throw, right? Double shuffle or step two shuffle, and then the arm gets a little longer and you go, whoop, got away from me.
Yeah. So that's why the repeatability is so important, and I think it does. Well, I don't think, I know it does, gives you more options. So you just touched on them. You can have minimal footwork, and because you're efficient with your exchange into your V, you can get rid of the ball immediately. If you got a plus runner, the ball's hit slow. You're fielding it in a difficult position in a 5-6 hole, or maybe you're up the middle, or a combination of all those, or if you have all the time in the world, you literally can create rhythm and tempo, keep the body moving, and have that front foot timing and repeatable slot. And I agree with you 100%. The players that implement it, it's not hard to implement. In fact, I've seen videos of 4-year-olds do it. It's easy on the eyes, and it works. So
I like to make a couple comments on it. So I have a video from, it's probably a year ago on Twitter that I put in. It's a Dominican boy. He's probably 6 years old, and it just shows him throwing just like every big leaguer. And he doesn't even know what he's doing, but the body does organize. The hand wants to actually work inside. It's just like throwing a punch. Right. If I throw a punch, my hand really does not want to get out of this V position. At least it wants to stay within a 90, right? So for efficiency and power and speed, the body does organize. And you can find, like you just said, these young throwers, you're going, leave them alone and don't have the father on the other side emulating so they can visually see how not to throw. And they just pick up a ball and you say, throw it. Like I was watching my son, who's almost 2 years old, and he picked up a rock. We were throwing rocks the other day. And he picks him up and he goes right behind his head, which creates a V, and he whips it. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he does know what he's doing because the body has innate intelligence. There's innate intelligence that finds efficiency. The body doesn't want to have inefficiency, and it doesn't want to hurt itself. It wants to find efficiency, balance, timing. So picks it up, rock goes right behind head. He goes right in the V, and he just whips it. So he's a year and a half, leaving him alone. But it's really because I was taught the same information, the Cobra. And I've had 7 arm surgeries, and I've seen multiple guys go down struggling, with the arm. And we just had an example at camp tonight. We had a guy come in from Idaho who he flew into camp, and he was with us in Idaho, and we did a camp. And we worked on the slot, we worked on the footwork, the momentum, the direction, right? Using the legs to empower the arm. And he started to see 5 to 10 miles an hour jumps in the kids' arms that he was working with at the academy. And the arm, like the feeling, they're going, my arm feels good. It feels good. The velocity goes up. And the high school coach says, if you keep throwing like that, you're not going to play on our team. And we just heard the story tonight. And he said, I'm sorry, we're not going to play on the team. Because it's not like we just made up this formula. The formula came literally from just watching big leaguers, period. I'm going, why are the big leaguers doing it different? I was sitting there at a workout, and I'm doing a lesson with a shortstop. He came in from Fresno, and Fresno is one of the hotbeds in California for baseball. He drove 4 hours to come see me, and he wanted to work on basically his repeatability because he wasn't repeating. He's on the varsity team. And he pulls in, and we start working. And about 3, 4, 5 minutes after, this guy pulls in the parking lot, and I didn't know who it was. And he gets out of the car, and he walks over, and he says, hey, that's my nephew out there. He says, you mind if I play catch with him? And I said, sure you can. Well, that guy was just runner-up in the major leagues for Rookie of the Year. It was Errant Hill. And he's LSU All-American, top draft pick, runner-up, like Rookie of the Year. And we went through these ball and glove drills, the V-slot drills, and we started doing them over and over. And he walks up to me and says, where'd you learn this stuff? And I says, I just made it up, really. He goes, let me tell you something. I just got done in the big leagues. My name's Errant Hill. I'm runner-up Rookie of the Year. I said, oh, wow, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you. And I shook his hand. And he goes, let me just tell you something. Every single night, 162 nights, I sit and watch the other team take pregame. And he goes, I started to see that every guy was doing what you're teaching. He goes, it's unbelievable. And he goes, and I just saw you fix my nephew. Like a half hour later, he's like, dude, look at the results. It's unbelievable. And he goes, I'm watching A-Rod Jeter. This was the era when he broke in, the A-Rod Jeter era, right? He's going, man, they all throw like this. They're doing it out of necessity, the body of self-organization, because if they don't, you know what happens? The ball will get away from them. They won't repeat. They'll have arm injury, and runners will be safe. So they either figure it out naturally, which most of them do, or they're not playing anymore. They're working over at the CVS or at the grocery store or the bank. It eliminates you so fast. That throw tool is powerful, and we have it all in the program. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And so let's move through it. Now, we're obviously not going to be able to dive into every slide and at length. I mean, otherwise we just gave this away. Now, we love sharing information, and those that know Nate and I know that we give a lot away because our hearts are in it. But this product took so much time to put together. But we're sharing it in part tonight and hoping that you'll enjoy the journey with us. Nate, the first, slide that I want to take us to, and I guess maybe if I escape out, I hope. I guess I'll just move forward to it. Why isn't it letting me forward? That's very weird. Oh, there it goes. All right, so I don't even want to get into that. Let's stay on the throwing. So we have all this keys to throwing, to catching, receiving. There's truly a lot of keys. I don't know that we necessarily need to dive into that, Nate, just from time, but I want the, consumers to see keys to receiving. So the first slide we're going to get to here is V-slot. And we put it in here for buy-in because as a coach, you have to explain the whys and, of course, the hows to get buy-in, and sometimes a video can do a better job of getting buy-in than you trying to explain. Now Nate's already, in my opinion, given plenty of justification. So, but you really get to see some of it here. So the beauty of this, Nate, is you can talk over it. I will, if you want me to, I'll let this video play in entirety. It starts with photos and then goes to videos because I do think it will help people realize the value of the V slot and kind of give them a visual. And then at that point, we'll zoom through some of the throwing drills. We won't certainly touch on all of them. So you good with that? I guess that's a yes.
Bien, todo bien.
All right, here we go. All right, so that's a little intro into V-slot, and it's not like you have to search far and wide, to find people using this at the major league level because it is an efficient way the body organizes to throw. And I wanted to mention a couple things, Nate, that came to mind. One was, as a coach, I literally some days throw between 300 and 600 pitches a day. I'm not throwing 60 feet. They're not high intensity throws, but I'm using my view. Okay. Arm never hurts. Never. And I have repeatability. I can throw the ball in. I can throw it away, down, up. I mean, the accuracy is there, right? And that's why middle infielders, in my opinion, throw the best PP because they have the most repeatable arm stroke.
Catchers are even better.
Catchers are good too. Yeah, catchers are good too. Pitchers are the worst. But we won't go there. Sorry, pitcher.
Well, let's just talk about that for a second. So the catcher really, in my experience, is the best BP thrower, and he has the shortest stroke. He is repeatable and consistent in the V's. So you go to the shortstop. Most shortstops don't have great V's, but they're somewhere between the outfielder and the catcher, right? So then you go, okay, he's in the middle. And then you say the worst is the pitcher with the longest arm action. Outfielders and pitchers cannot throw BP.
Right.
They can't. It's because they have a longer stroke and they can't repeat. So it goes back to in the infield, you're on a clock, right? You're on this 4.1 second clock, right? So if I'm on the time clock and I have length and I have to throw it to a base, an outfielder throws it to a relay man, right? Who can move. And a pitcher's got guys swinging and balls out of the zone. If you take the guy off the base at first base, he's safe. So, I mean, it's to your point. And the best BP throwers, I just wanted to comment is that you watch them. Like Trent said, they're 80 years old. They're all V slot. Just V and go, V and go, V and go. And they're nothing but strike throwers, repeatability.
Yep. Outstanding. Another thing that you see that we were taught, I know at least I was taught. Okay. When I was first taught how to throw, even at the collegiate level, we were taught and I think even my books, I got into this where like this front elbow right there was like literally up and it was like a laser going to the target. And what we find is unless the guy's going deep in a 5-6 ball and coming up the throw, that typically that front elbow doesn't get quite that jacked up on a regular basis. And if you looked at some of the slides, you see some guys with a little bit higher front sides, so they're going to have their their front arm open, down. I mean, they all kind of carry it a little bit different, but it's not like we have to be this robot and go, you know, that front side stays aligned. It gets on aligned, but anything you want to touch on there before we move forward?
Yeah, I would like to talk about a couple of things. So when you're learning how to throw, typically you're taught to actually have an arm stroke. You're actually throwing the ball. And I want to kind of reinterpret what this means, because that's where the problem comes in. When you're literally trying to throw an object, you start to create space and length, and you start getting your hand away from your center, which that's where a lot of our injuries come from, when the hand starts getting away. So what you see is, you see the body when it goes to the slot, right? How is all he's doing, he's not literally even going to a V slide. What he's doing is he's going to a scap load. He's just loading his scaps. And if you notice, right when they separate, so it goes catch the ball, separation center of chest, midline, and then right from there, they go right to a scap load. So like you said earlier, some are low, some are medium, some are high. Some guys are very, you watched Machado in the picture before, Machado's elbow is about, but you look at hitters, right? Some guys are very, Ryan Howard, super high elbow, right? There's guys with high elbows, low elbows, right? Different in the hitter scalp loads too, right? So we have this load where we're scalp loading, and we're not actually throwing the ball. We're going separation to scalp load, from scalp load to whip. And the scalp load is the short. It's the short arm, right? But it's not short to short, it's short to long. So right now it looks like he's going to throw a punch. That's a knockout punch. That's how you knock a guy out. You don't create length in your stroke to knock a guy out. That's his knockout blow right there. And he goes short. And if you got to extension, you would see short to long, like a master hitter. Short to long, short to long. So right now he separates center. He does not carry the glove away from his midline. A lot of coaches teach, take the glove to your throwing shoulder, starts creating imbalances, and it takes your sequence off and timing off. Okay. Hold on, please. The timing is off. Okay. And that's what we're looking for. Major league infielders are in sequence. And if you don't work, if you notice, every double play, every slow roller, every backhand, their arm was on time because it worked into separation, midline, center chest to scap load, whip. That's it. There's no throw. And then they have their feet under them in posture. That's the throw. The throw is a scap load to a whip. And once we start really understanding that, see the younger, I mean, we were at camp all day. We had guys from 12 to 16, and 95% of the throwers are literally trying to wind up and throw. And we're talking about good high school players. These guys are good players, but they don't know either because they're not being taught it. And this is the message of the throwing program, is that we are creating efficiency of movement, which puts your body in sequence, which allows proper timing, which equals velocity, arm speed, power, repeatability, and a healthy arm.
And it's a separator, right? It's literally a separator. It's a huge separator. And, I do these evaluations after every camp. I do 20 at every camp, literally video breakdown of fielders. What I've noticed, Nate, is the guys that have the longest arm action typically take extra steps in order to execute a play. So minimal footwork is not an option for them, because when the left foot lands, right, left field, right, left throw, when that left hits, arms nowhere in position to let the ball go. So they get forced into that extra steps, which sometimes will not hurt you, but it will hurt you enough. Okay. And it needs to be in your toolbox. When you develop that efficiency, you basically have repeatability, you have options, it gives you tools in the toolbox. Okay. So I think the next video, Nate, gets into the V slot development series. Show one of them, maybe one of the 5 or 6 to start one of the claps.
Sure, you can show a couple.
Okay.
They go pretty fast.
So I want to be clear that this is not the actual throwing routine. This is actually this V slot development, okay, which is like a break off of the throwing routine. So there's another, theories there that I don't want to get into, but touch a little bit why that's so important. I mean, I think it's pretty evident, but go ahead. And
well, we're at camp today, and we spent an hour throwing. We didn't throw long because we know it's the winter, but we were working, shorter throws, 60, 70, 80, 90 feet. We're working on footwork. We're working on timing. We're working on arm stroke, V-slot, follow, finish. We're working on all different components. And the guys in the drills, there's 100 infielders. Every single infielder pretty much could get to the V-slot and actually repeat it. The majority. Let me say about 90%. Okay. I'm just thinking back right now through the day and picturing a couple of guys that did struggle. Majority of the players could get it when we actually set them up with the drills. What happened though is right after that, we went into some timing drills where we're timing their double play turns from short, from second, timing balls hit right at them, and timing backhands. So we had a short throw at about 50 feet and we'd go glove to glove. And what happened immediately once they were competing or they were on a clock, which that's nothing but the game. The game is a clock, right? The runner's going down the line at 4.1, 4.5, 5.0, whatever it might be. He's on a clock. The infielder's completing. All the infielders broke down completely. There was probably now 5% that actually was repeating the V-slot that they worked on. And the point is, if you don't break it down without a ball, without a partner, and we have, it showed the infielder there working the hand slap drill. Well, that's one component of about 6 other drills that are on there of just breaking it down, isolating the moves to develop the muscle memory. What we're talking about, those 10,000 reps, we want to get them over and over so that we can actually compete in a game, a high level game, and, function unconsciously with precision.
so this actually is now taking you into the beginning of the routine. And just like anything in baseball that we teach on a continuum, and simple to complex, predictable to unpredictable. Okay, literally every drill, everything you do operates on those continuums. Of course, we want to start simple. And these are all predictable drills because they know exactly what they're going to do. But they do go simple to complex. They start very easy. And literally the arm warms up to a degree as you do this. Now, we've already done a tubing routine. We've already done a dynamic flexion routine. That's all there in the beginning that we cruised right through real fast. And we're literally not going to be able to touch on every one of these throwing drills. I'm going to, introduce maybe the first two and then we'll jump all the way down to another one. And, we'll probably have to finish up or take a question. And then if they want to check out the rest, they can check it out. I mean, when Nate and I do the talk over of this video, it's over 2 hours long. So there's not time to get through them all. So basically we have a standing power V slot. So the way the video is broke down, if you were to purchase it, literally we talk about the hows and the whys right here. And then we show the video and it will scroll through. Okay. And, we start talking over the video. So basically what we have here is very, very simple standing power V slot, center of chest to the V, throw. And I'll let you, Nate, talk over just like we normally do. Just the most simple, basic throwing drill 1.
So the reason why he's tapping in the center of his body because he's working on his separation. We talked earlier about the separation. The throwing, the glove does not get carried back to the back shoulder. It starts to work forward once he separates. And the palm will be down. Sometimes it's facing where he's throwing. Sometimes it's facing himself. Depends, the speed of the throw, the quickness of the throw, how much time he has. So right now he's just working on rhythm, separating, getting to the V, and just whipping forward. Very simple, very basic. But understand this, what's right is simple and basic. And that's the most difficult part. Can you take a task that seems to be complex or very challenging, throw an infielder out on the field, have a good runner running down the line, hit him a tough play? Can he keep it simple? Can he stay balanced? And he has right now easy tempo, and he's going right to the slot, separating in the midline, right in the center chest, and whipping and going forward. Notice how when he separates, the hand and arm stays parallel to the ground. He separates back into the scap, meaning his elbow goes back, the ball goes up slightly, and he just whips it forward. And you're going to notice the ball goes slightly behind his head. And if you had a camera right behind him, the hand would be right connected about between his ear and the back of his head. And that creates a catapult whip coming forward. So there's two different actions of the whip. And the V-slot, the power comes from the whip and also the rotation, being on top of the baseball with the elbow up and getting the whip where the hand is parallel to the ground. That's an up to down whip. And then he creates this about a 45-degree angle whip that goes behind his head. So he's creating a double whip. And that puts the body in this sequence where you start developing a quick arm that's quick, that repeats with spin, rotation, carry.
Something you're going to see throughout the series of these drills is the repeatability of that action. Okay, it doesn't matter what the drill is. And you also see rhythm, easiness. This is not robotic. Okay, throwing, fielding is an art. To a degree, it's an art. It's a dance. There's rhythm. There's tempo. There's ease. There's flow. You hear Nate talk all the time about the whip, the wave. The river. It's literally just an easy flow, okay, of action. So we would also be talking about program receiving the ball and the keys to receiving and all that. But we're not going to get to that here in this presentation tonight. All right, so we move to the next. I'm going to fly through. Let's talk about skaters for a minute, Nate.
Okay.
I know it's one of your favorite, and we have it in the blue collar lockdown. So what is talk a little bit about
can we watch him? Can you put him on? Can you play him real quick?
Yeah.
You notice his arm, how loose and easy it is. And there is absolute no tension, which also creates the whip, and it creates a quick arm. It also creates an arm that's going to be durable. And once you start getting tension in your arm, in his body, I mean, he's literally like a loose whip. He's like just a fountain of water. It's just flowing. Look at him. It's just loose. And those actions are the actions that we take out in America. Those are the actions we don't like, Trent, typically. The college coaches, I work with players all the time that are, draft guys out of high school. They go to a Division I, an elite Division I, and they start changing them. They literally put them in a box, and it's just like hitters, right? The Cody Bellinger story, right? Where Cody, right? The Dodgers get a new hitting coach, right? And our friend and our good friend on our team here is best friend with Damon. And the story is pretty simple. They took the athleticism out of his swing. Well, he comes back and he ends up, being what, MVP, because of the actions that Tabor's displaying right now, this freedom. But notice they're not loose and sloppy. His head is staying in the center of his body. He's following every throw. When he throws the ball, his head is like in a box. It doesn't move. He's in posture. His spine angle is straight. His head is square, and it repeats every single time. When he separates in the center of chest, and the arm works up out of the V into the whip. And he's loose and he's easy. It's very hard to do what he's doing right now when you're turning a double play and it matters, right? That's when the tension comes in. So one, he has to learn, and he's an elite infielder, but our infielders have to learn how to be relaxed in posture with intent, not the lazy, relaxed looseness. So what I love about the skater drill, and this is a version you can also jump farther back. And what I love about it is infielders are constantly working away from their target. So notice his last move is back. So literally he's going to the right and throwing to the left. So that simulates an infielder on the diamond where they're going to the right away from first, and they literally have to balance on the right foot, stack, keep their weight balanced and stacked, redirect all their weight and shift it into their front side and create momentum and direction into their throw and repeat. And that's the hardest move for an infielder to do, right? Is to take their momentum from one direction, redirect it and shift it and have momentum and direction and repeat. And this concept here is he's bouncing forward, back. He lands on the backside and then he redirects and shifts, and notice how he follows now. We just did this with 100 kids. Trent, there wasn't one guy that followed, especially on this drill. They throw it with their arm because they don't understand the finish. He weighs 175, 80 pounds, this guy, right? That's almost 200 pounds that when you follow stays behind the ball that weighs 5 ounces. And the throwers, the young throwers, are literally winding up. Tell us about Tabor's teammates over the last couple of years. You're talking about how, these guys are Division I players that lack repeatability.
Yeah, and I don't think there's great players, and the thing about any player at any level, any excess movement, and here's the deal, like you literally get to the D1 level. This might be Tabor's ceiling. He may not start or be a backup, or you got guys that move on to single A, double A, triple A. Sooner or later, your inability or your ability to throw consistently and quickly and have repeatability is going to extend your playing career, or it's going to cut it short. Okay, it's literally that simple. So the more excess movement we've already talked about and length you have, it's just hard to sync it all up. I mean, it's not like a pitcher where you get to be on a rubber in a controlled environment, and create all this tempo with your arm. You can sync up your upper body, lower body. I mean, you're fielding, throwing on the run, going to your backhand side, getting down the line. You're throwing from awkward positions, and if you don't have a short long stroke, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, the throw from the 5-6 hole, I put the tweet out last week. I talked about it, I think, on Mongero Monday. Literally, of a football field that's been painted on a baseball field because they used it. I think it was the old Oakland Raiders situation. And it's 50 yards from the deep 5-6 hole to first base. 150. So, and that's the most difficult play on the planet for any infielder to go to the backhand side. I mean, with a plus runner getting on the line and have repeatability, if you have length, air mail that thing, it's going to run, and it's got 150 feet. Some guys don't even long toss 150 feet. Okay, I mean, most really good players go past that, but you talk about preparing yourself to make that play as an infielder. So, the big thing I see when I break down the video, Nate, you hit the nail on the head, is players won't follow the. And as we go through some more of these drills, we're going to fast forward to, I don't know, probably number 9 or 10 here. You're going to see.
I like to talk just as you're doing that. So when we think of baseball, I mean, when you think of other sports versus baseball player is being evaluated on 5 tools. And when you think of a basketball player, he could just be a shooter. You can have a rebound guy. You can have a one-dimensional player. In baseball, it doesn't work like that. So a lot of times you'll see guys that are plus hitters. They have power. They have the hit tool. So let's just say power tool, hit tool, average at best, glove. So their defensive tool, let's say, is a 40 on a 20-80 scale. 50 is an average. So we're going to give them a 40, right? And let's just say their throws is a 45, okay? So their hit tool is a 60. Their power is a 70. Their defensive tool is a 45. Their throw tool is a 40 or 45. So they're sub-average, right? But they didn't get drafted because of their defensive tool and their throw tool. And you'll see a guy in your town or your neighborhood or the college. You say, look at that guy. He got drafted. Look at the way he throws. Or look at his backhand. Wow, that must be the way I do it. Well, understand, he wasn't drafted because of his defense. And there's guys in the big leagues, literally, that can't even throw well. There's outfielders, you'll see them. You're like, wow, there's a guy in my high school that throws better than that. Joey Votto, his senior year, threw 81 miles an hour across the diamond from third base. There's 14-year-olds all over the country that throw harder than 81 across the diamond. This is a second rounder. This is one of the best players in the big leagues. They did move him to first base, but the point is Joey Votto wasn't drafted in the second round. He's not, a big leaguer, an all-star, because he has arm strength. So understand that there's ways to fit into this process. So you can't just watch someone and say, well, look at the way he throws. Understand what are his skills, what are his weaknesses. So watch a player and understand that if you want to stay in the game and give yourself an opportunity, the less deficiencies that you have, the greater opportunity you're going to create for yourself.
No doubt. So we went all the way to 10, and you're going to see the progression of simple to complex. Now, this is a great example of the practicality of the routine, because as a coach of 29 years, one of my biggest pet peeves with rundowns, especially between first and second, sometimes between second and third, is that fielders say the shortstop is running the base runner back to first base and there's a runner on third. So it's a first and third scenario. You got a run down between first and second. There's a runner on third, and he's looking to break home. And when he eventually breaks home, not getting to the specifics of how to execute this play, the problem is guys are not used to spinning opposite of glove side. Okay, they're used to going glove side. They want to go glove side. So when you do a reverse action like that in a game, it's unfamiliar. They're not used to rotating that way. Especially if they have a long arm stroke, they overshoot the catcher. They throw it in the dirt. They throw it up the line. The catcher's trying to navigate the guy coming into the plate and safe, right? Big momentum for the other team. So we're trying to implement drills that create body control, efficiency, tying upper body to lower body, teaching how to follow, and then creating these situations. So this is a reverse 3-2-1 pump fake, throw and follow. And I'll play it and let Nate break down, and then we'll fly way ahead. And I also want you to address the glove taps, Nate, because we know there's a portion of old school world out there that probably drives them nuts when they see that.
So right now, I mean, you're talking about the functionality of this drill, and he's moving in different directions and he's staying in line. So whatever direction he's on, whatever line he's on that line, and he stays on that line. His feet are square, his shoulders are square, and he's just working snap, quick snap and go. Then he follows his last one. So what he's doing is he's continually changing his direction, changing his momentum. And the last one, he turns the corner and changes and follows on line. This here is a play also, Trent, you think of the ball up the middle,
right?
Where, it's a very difficult play. And you also think of the play at the plate where if I quiz the audience right now, let's just quiz them right now. What is the most errant throw by Major League infielders? That's the question. And the answer is a play at the plate with a runner on third base. And it goes back to what Trent was just talking about. We're not used to making that sharp of a turn. So we stay open with our front side and we get synced to the catcher. And that's the play you're talking about too, the relay, right? First and second relay, then I got to throw it home. I have to turn, square up and go. And infielders, typically they don't have that sharp of an angle. It's an easy angle because if I'm playing shortstop, first base is just slightly to my left. When I got to throw it to the catcher, I got to turn completely. So this is setting you up for teaching you how to redirect, stay on line with momentum and direction. And when you incorporate these drills, these are just examples of many. When you do these for anywhere from 2 to 5 reps, and you do this in the off season, any ball that's hit to you, the runner is out. And that's what we don't see, right? Whoa, that ball's taking him to the left. I wonder what he's going to do on this one. Whoa, deep backhand on the hole, right? Oh, play at the plate. It's sink, it's sail, it's cut, it's out of posture, it's arm injuries. It's putting it all together. And what happens is your defender becomes a playmaker. Ball hit to you, no matter left, right, in, back, lateral, bullet, it doesn't matter, you're out.
So address the glove taps.
The glove taps basically are rhythm. And when you think of any hitter with rhythm, they move their hands. And rhythm is defined by a pattern of movement. It's a repeated pattern of movement. So anytime you throw the ball in one step, you have no time to tap. That's why there's no thrower in the world that can tap with a one shuffle and throw. That's why nobody in the world taps on a double play, right? It's one and go. It's a one-step pattern, go, boom, boom, go, it's out. So you never have a problem. The only time an infielder would ever tap is because he's taking 2 steps. So what happens is we were taught forever that when you tap, you're wasting time, energy, and you're creating movement, which what does a great hitter actually have? Going back to the Bellinger story, it's rhythm and movement. And the American infielder, what he's been robbed of is his athleticism. In the Dominican Republic, they've never said one, it's like, be free, but be balanced, be rhythmic. And when we look at the top 10 shortstops in the big leagues, 7 of them are from Latin America. They have this rhythm that the American shortstops, it's hard to find because we take it away. I started watching the old historical movies back from the Ken Burns, 1 through 10. I watched them probably 50 times. And I started to see it from every single Hall of Famer, from Willie Mays to Roberto Clemente. You look at them all. It doesn't matter who you are, infielder, outfielder, doesn't matter. Every single guy taps, every guy. Then I'm sitting there in the area codes and I'm watching Nolan Arenado, Christian Yelich, Jock Peterson, Freddie Freeman. I'm watching them all down the line play catch. And what did I see? For 20 years, because I go out and I actually give them the catch play balls and I sit there and watch them. Every single thrower for 20 years, these are big leaguers and these are first round, every single thrower on our team, every guy taps before he throws. They were not taught it. They don't practice it. They do it because it's self-organization, it's rhythm, it's timing, it's efficiency, it's sequencing. Once you take it out, you create stagnant movements where the rhythm is lost.
So I think if they visualize right here, like if he just kept his hands like this the whole time when he was doing those drills, every time he goes to change his feet and throw, his hands have to somehow sync up perfect. They would have to sync up perfect, right? So his body actions, his lower body actions. And that's very difficult to do. So he's staying in sequence, everything's staying in sequence and in rhythm. And he's comfortable with that. So why would we coach that out of a player, which is you just touched on earlier? And I think it's becoming a lot more prevalent to coaches at the higher levels and even some at the lower levels that, we've done a really good job, which is a good job of the wrong thing, which is stealing athleticism. So ultimately we've done a bad job. But we didn't know it. We weren't doing it on purpose. Like you touched on, we were taught never to glove tap, and what you find now is at the high levels, of course, people that are learning, that it's rhythm and rhythm is fine.
The thing is, Trent, is no one actually was taught it. It was actually a self-organization that was taken away. So if you take any child, pick up a rock literally, and you say, hey, 6-year-old, pick up that rock and I want you to throw it over the lake. He'll literally tap because the body, like you just said, it creates this sequencing. It creates a sequence. It sequences everything together. We were just watching at dinner tonight, watching all these NFL superstar quarterbacks. Every single guy, and Tony, our partner, is next to us, right? He was a all-world quarterback in college.
Right.
And we were just pointing, every quarterback, if they have time, they tap.
Especially if they pump fake.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, even if they pump fake, but we're just talking keeping the hands in rhythm. It's all about rhythm. And I'll tell you, that's the number one word that I heard beginning scouting for the first 5 years. I kept hearing it, rhythm. But as a college guy, you don't hear it. Now, the elite college guys are teaching it, but there's a large percentage of them that don't talk about it. I'm in the pro world going, why is everybody talking about this rhythm thing? And the same with hitters. We want rhythm, feel, rhythm, timing. We want natural players.
All right, let's move through.
By the way, it also sets him up for his center of chest separation. As he taps, he keeps his hands in line.
I want to go maybe, I don't know, 360s or no?
Sure.
Okay, and then from here we'll go all the way to we're just going to go to the last one, maybe, because most people do some version of quick feet, quick release. So we can kind of talk about that one a little bit too. But the 360 body awareness, spatial awareness, control, repeatability, blind. So you're throwing to a blind target. So you have all this inertia that's going in this direction. And then when you land, you have to use your lower body to create energy towards your target and not fall off and away from where you're going to throw. So it's a right left spin, right left throw, and you organize his feet, to get his timing. And ultimately, before he takes off, it's going to be right left spin, right left throw, follow. Right left, right left. So somebody might say, when do you actually spin, Nate? Why would a player actually do this? And there are times when we spin, right? So you want me to tell them, you want to tell them?
You could tell, and I'll cover up a couple other things.
Okay, well, when you go up the middle, okay, when a shortstop goes up the middle and the ball's taking him away from the infield, he spins and throws. When a third baseman has to drop stuff, and the ball's rocketed at him, he may carry the energy right with him, glove side, spin and throw. Okay, so again, even if you never have to do it, creating the confidence, body control, okay, if all you do in your throwing program is just step to your target and throw every time, okay, you're not, in my opinion, it's limited to the transfer to an actual game. Well, shortstop and infielders are the most dynamic players. They cover the most range. They have a clock. They have all this added stress for an outfielder. They get to the ball and hit their cutoff man. Nothing against outfielders. We need great outfielders. Okay, but to me, outfield, Nate, is infield 150 feet further away. So our outfielders do these drills too. Our catchers do these drills. So that's what I wanted to touch on. That we literally do spin, but I'll let you touch on some of the things that you would wanted to emphasize.
Right, and another spin would be, so he's going glove side spin. And outfielders spin all the time when they reach for a ball, right? So the outfielders do glove spins. And we also have the shortstop going, for a double play, and the second baseman feeds him to his left. There's spins all over the diamond. What I like the most, you talked in the beginning, was about body control, and also I like about eyes lead. Literally, what he's learning to do is lead with his eyes. And if your eyes are late picking up target, typically what happens is the arm leads. You just want to turn and throw it. So if he's not in rhythm and timing, and he gets a little ahead of himself and he doesn't let his eyes lead, this also is a pitcher picking off at second base, right? So you have the eyes learning to lead. And if you can be accurate in all these different scenarios, what happens is you create familiarity. And that's what the masters like Steph Curry, Nolan Arenado, these guys with the best processes, the best routines in the game, whatever sport they're playing, they create memory for the day. Curry goes through his, whatever it is, 2-hour, pregame routine, going through every different shot, every different move that he possibly could make, creating memory for that night in the game. So now he can play unconscious with precision. And what he's doing is the familiarity, guys. When we see all the familiar, what he's doing, the spin move, and then the shuffle, the box shuffle, and the taps, and all these different moves, when it appears in the game in the 7th inning, the 8th inning, the 3rd inning, you don't know when it's going to appear. And if you prepare and your body is actually familiar and you have same day memory where you did it that day, what happens is when you start to move with a familiar feeling that you created earlier, your mind stays calm, your heartbeat stays slow, your body stays relaxed, which are the keys. And that's what confidence is. And he's building confidence. He's building confidence. So now he goes in the game and he makes that play up the middle, just like Steph Curry makes that step back jump shot in the 3rd quarter when they need it. And then how did he pull it off? Because he created same day memory. And it's very important. It's not about doing it 50 times. Now in the off season, he might say, Dad, I want to nail this drill. So for the first week, right, he does this drill for 10 minutes. But then once he starts getting it, balance, posture, eyes lead, consistency, then he goes, Dad, I'm just going to do this 3 times within my catch play routine when we have 15 minutes.
Yep, I agree. catchers use it too, right? When they go out to field a bunt, they stand on the third base line, they turn back to the ball, swipe, spin, throw. So every position on the field ultimately has to be challenged when they're throwing. And of course, we talked about it earlier, the follow, right? And then the rhythm and the tempo. So like if we literally put Mike on his feet, a Mike on his glove, a Mike on the glove of the guy he's throwing to. So these are two college players. You literally create a song, like the beat of the feet and the hands and the tap, and the glove, and then the catch, and they do it the same every time. So it's that rhythm, true rhythm, and ultimately confidence. The problem is, Nate, if coaches don't teach it, and then they don't stay out there when their players are executing these drills. We talk about it this all the time. The mind wanders. They start talking about what level they got, on Fortnite or what this video game is, or what TikTok video they thought was the coolest, or their girlfriends or cars or else, and they're getting stuck with everything they're doing. And so you need to be out there encouraging focus. And there's accountability. Coaches are out there watching. So literally our entire goal of our throwing program, and they'll make occasionally, but we want to get as clean as we can up and down the team. They literally go through these series, 20 drills. It's really, 12 hours. If you break down the ABCs of some of these drills, and our goal is to not throw one ball away, but to do it with freedom. I give them freedom to fail. If we throw one away, I'm not going to stop the whole team and make the whole run sprints because somebody threw a ball away. Okay, the pressure. I use the word pressure. I like high stress. Okay, the high stress throws are created within the drills themselves, and they get frustrated, and they get frustrated, not accurate, because they know that this applies to the games, and we're out there watching. And if it's the same guy that's playing fetch today, then that tells us they can't repeat. And it's a really good indicator that when they get in game situations, the same thing is going to happen. So anyways.
I'm getting dizzy, Trent.
What's that?
I think I'm a little dizzy.
Getting dizzy. So these are like specialty throws. There's a lot of stuff right here that I'm flying through. Which quick feet you want to do?
Whatever you like.
No feet or feet?
No feet.
Okay. Well, here we go.
Over the last 20 years of working with college coaches and pro scouts in that environment, that arena, one of the most common phrases or sentences or whatever you'd call it that I hear is that from the college guys specifically. The pro side, it really doesn't exist, but more on the college side, it's like this guy is limited with his ability to throw at different release points. And there's a lot of throwers in high school that do not have the comfort or touch to take a little bit off a throw or throw 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. And it's basically a lack of practice, familiarity, repetitions. So right now what he's working on is working on different release points. And right now it looks like he's working more out of 3 o'clock, straight across, some 2 o'clocks. But he's isolating the moves with no feet. And he's working center of chest separation, elbow leads in the separation going back. He just whips forward. And you notice as he starts to go down in 3 o'clock, he tilts his chest so he stays connected with his arm. There was a simple video when my nephew was in 8th grade. He committed in 9th grade to Oregon State University. They just won the national championship. And about 2 months after, they offered him a very comfortable scholarship to play 4 years down the road. So he's only a freshman in high school. And what the point is this. It was a 4-second video, literally. It was 4 seconds. and he was doing basically what Tabor's doing right now. He had no feet movement, and it was showing him throw it 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12 done. The video was over. It literally took about 4 seconds. It was just done. And this partner was pretty close. He wasn't like 90 feet. He was only probably 30 feet. Okay. That video I said, where do you want to go to college? He says, I want to go to ASU, USC, or Oregon State. Okay. So I sent the video out to the 3 coaches that are good friends of mine, and they responded within like 2 hours. And they all said immediately, we need to see this guy. From a 4-second video of doing what Tabor's doing right now. The point is that easy, smooth, effortless actions throwing at different release points coming out of the V slot is very impressive when it's done consistently and well, right? And these are 3 major West Coast Pac-12 institutions that immediately were like, we need to see this guy. 4-second video. Not a ground ball, no feet, just actions. Stroke, release points.
So a couple things I see. First of all, the guy that Tabor's playing catch with is Chattahoochee Valley Community College, top JUCOs in the South. He's a first baseman. So you can see that he's, working on shortening his arm strength. They're trying to be very consistent. They're trying to throw where they catch, and they're deflecting. So the goal is not to catch, separate, take it out. And we literally compete in a lot of these drills. One of them, the whole team's going to be on a clock. You're not allowed to move your feet, and you're going to see how many changes you can make in 20 seconds from 45 feet, which is halfway first and second. You're on the third base line. It'd be, third and second. And they're competing. And that high stress throws, and that's what you want. So, yeah, some good stuff there.
I think we've seen enough videos. Let's just talk for a minute.
So there's the slideshow. You can see that it's very in-depth. I mean, there's the beginning. And literally every one of those drills is functionally appropriate. I'm just going to take it back to slide 1, Nate, and let you talk. It's just the Trosky Ranch. If I can learn how to use my Apple laptop, that'd be pretty good. So go ahead and summarize.
Well, just talking about what the next level are looking for. Trent, can you talk about just the ranch really quick? Because Tony's at the door. I need to grab it.
The ranch.
Just the ranch. Our guys can check in with us and just they can go on to find this.
Yeah. So TroskyRanch.com, of course. And, we're continually trying to put out product that's going to help players, coaches, parents help coach their kids and help them take their game to the next level. No pie in the sky, real stuff that works. We've created membership, of course, the Gold Glove membership. And at some point, our standalone products, Infield Play, will be put in there. And a lot of it's already in there. And there's a ton of tremendous content. And really, honestly, stuff that I wish I would have had as a player. It's all separator stuff. And, of course, the blue collar lockdown, which we put out last year when COVID hit, that virus is still causing havoc in a lot of places. And players aren't allowed to practice. And, it really teaches them how to be efficient and in small spaces develop as a player. And, that was one of the handful of first products we put out. But anyways, it's just about helping people. And, some people might get frustrated that, we charge for some of this stuff, but, you can't give it all away for free. And this stuff takes hundreds and hundreds of hours to create. And we just hope it'll benefit people. We feel like it's priced fairly, but, the ranch is really exciting because we have our coaches membership side, and, that's about to come out here soon. And the ranch is up to date. So the memberships are up to date, meaning that we're constantly adding, you're going to get a lot. I don't want to necessarily get into all that. I just want people to understand that it's there. So what you got in conclusion?
I have an older nephew. So one's a senior in high school. His name is Jabin. The other one is Rowan. And Rowan is a freshman in college right now. And it was Rowan between his sophomore and junior year. We're playing scout ball. We're playing at Santa Clara University, and we were playing a junior college, and that's what our scout team does in September. And Santa Clara was watching, and he knew it, and he didn't pitch very well. We played Fresno City, which is a powerhouse in the Western, the West Coast, Western junior college baseball, and he didn't pitch well, and he ends up getting a very comfortable scholarship to a high academic Division I here in California, Santa Clara University. And I talked to John after the recruiting coordinator, who's a friend of mine. I said, John, why did you offer? Because Roland and I were sitting in the dugout, and Roland's like, I don't know why they offered me, man. He's like, I didn't even really pitch very well. He's like, I kind of thought I got shelled. And so I called John. I said, hey, just fill me in. Why did you offer Roland? And he says, well, let me just tell you, I watched him warm up. He goes, I watched him prepare before he threw. And he goes, I watched him, I'm in the stands, at the game. And I'm watching him in left field for like 45 minutes. And he goes, he's got a plan. He has a routine. He has a process. This guy is dedicated to a process. And what it told him was this guy is going to be great, because your process is what makes you great. And if you have a great process, it's not necessarily today, how good am I? The question is how good are you going to be tomorrow? Because that's what the college coach is looking for. He's looking for projection. That's what the Major League Baseball scout's doing. He's projecting you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ahead, and your process will define who you become. So who you are today means nothing, absolutely nothing. The question is who will you be 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself? And if you don't have a great process, you will never be great. And I have a list of players on my notebook right now that I can go through that got scholarships just like Rowan did. Before the game started, the decision was made because the process was greater than the result. And this is decision makers. This isn't just some Humpty Dumpty guy who's the ops guy who's trying to get information to the recruiting coordinator. These are the recruiting coordinators. Okay, I'm going to give you one very quick one within 30 seconds. We're in Southern California. UCLA just wins the national championship. The head coach is at our game and nobody knows. This is like a couple weeks after. He was literally in the bushes watching our team warm up. This is no joke. Okay. His face is like sticking to the bushes watching. And this is what we tell our guys. We say the scouts are in the bushes and the college coaches are in the trees all the time. There is someone always watching and you have no clue. Okay. So he didn't know he was there. And in the tournament, I don't even know if he got a hit. I'm not kidding. Okay. And this player got offered a large scholarship that day from his preparation, because what happened was the head coach calls my buddy, his dad. He goes, hey, dude, your son, dude, I've never seen a guy his age ever have a process like that. He goes, we need to offer him. We need to get him down to campus. And his dad, Rich, calls me up and says, Nate, I got to tell you a story. And I said, yeah, well, we've been working on his throwing routine since he's been 10. But the thing is, Trent, is he actually did it when nobody's looking, but someone is looking. It was his process that he owned. And that's what that's the goal. Have a great process, become great, reach your ceiling, and you will be rewarded. That's the beauty. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story, and it's 100% true. We tell our guys all the time. I mean, we literally have our middle school parking lot that overlooks our left field. And I tell them all the time, because if I was a college recruiter, that's what I would do. I'd come watch the way they prepare. It says so much. And especially a player in the off season, because the tendency is to do just enough, maybe, or because the other guys aren't doing their routine, maybe you don't want to stick out, and but the guys that truly have intent to be great, they understand that it is a separator. And why, as a player with intent, would you ever overlook a separator? That's like insanity, right? And throwing it and catching is a separator. So, like I said earlier, you don't have to do every single throwing drill every day, although we do in practice do this entire routine. But it is a separator. It makes a difference. And the guys that take it serious, they pay huge dividends. You see those guys advancing through the game because ultimately, if your defense plays, you can hang around even when your offense is struggling, right? But if you don't have defense and your offense gets struggling, you find your way to the bench, you find your way cut, you find your way released from pro ball, pretty stinking quick. And I just want to mention before we go, like last night we had Jeff Schaefer on Mongero Monday, and he's a blue collar major league player, undersized, who had toughness and grit and resiliency. And he talked about his struggles, how adversity made him better, and I just think that that was a huge, huge opportunity for players, coaches, parents to go back and listen to and understand that's how bulletproof type players who handle pressure are built, through the toughness. It doesn't have to be his exact story. Your story can be different. But I wanted to encourage people maybe to take a listen at that because I thought it was exceptional. And, Jeff was gracious to share his journey and even, going growing up an hour outside of New York City and going to Yankee games as a little kid to being the starting shortstop at Yankee Stadium, hearing the great announcer announce his name as the starting shortstop. I mean, that's like the greatest thing ever, for whoever, wherever you grow up and have your favorite team. Imagine, as a little kid, one day you're out there as the starting shortstop, and he got a chance to live that dream. So I'll let you close us out, and we'll be gone. It is TroskyRanch.com. It's the, Mongero, Trosky, Cash Play team. You'll see it there if you have interest. Nate, what you
Thank you, guys. Pleasure. We'll see you again next Tuesday. We might see you at your camp. See you at your camp. See you at camp. Let's go. I'm out of rhythm, Trent.
Rhythm.
I got to get into rhythm. Slow down. Here we go. We'll see you at camp.
Yeah.
See you next time. La quiero la pelota. La quiero la pelota. La quiero la pelota.